What's going on, my good people? Back again with another one. Today we're going to talk about the Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt. So in this one, the story is in 2051, the world is being eradicated by these alien monsters called white spikes. So the people who are still left in 2051, by a stroke of luck, they discover how to travel back in time. So they travel back to now and tell the world about this horrible war that's going to happen in the future, and that they need manpower from the present to help them fight. So that's pretty much the basic story in this. From the standpoint of the visuals in this movie are like fantastic. Looks really good. The monsters look great. The explosions. And, everything from that standpoint, it looks really good. Some of the special effects are pretty good as well. Just highly on a great level from the visual standpoint. Special effects. Also, another good thing about this movie is the acting. Most of the actors, especially all the main ones, they give good performances. So that's another good plus about this movie. Also, as far as watching it, just looking at this movie from beginning to end, it's pretty entertaining. They don't have too many spots in this movie where you get really bored. They may have a couple of spots where it's over dramatic, and kind of in those particular scenes, it kind of has to be. I'm not gonna do any spoilers here as far as that go, but when you get to those scenes, you'll notice those things. So just from the standpoint of just watching it, and you don't really think about anything else, it's very entertaining. And also the concept is a very good concept about you fighting the war in the future, you're losing, you have time travel, you can travel back to the past to get help. So that's kind of good. Now, one of my problems with it is sort of like the not the concept, but just kind of like how they carried it out. Even in a fictional movie, you would have to do some things that make sense. The way they did it, how they time traveled and told them, it just didn't make any sense. You would have figured, okay, we got the ability to travel 30 years back in time. Are you gonna jump back to the Super Bowl and just make the announcement, or would you jump back, talk to the world leaders about, hey, we got this thing going on, fill them in on all the details? And that was another thing. They wanted to jump back and tell them, hey, this is going to happen, but then we're really not going to tell you about the details because it'll just scare you too bad. Well, you got the ability to jump back 30 years before this thing even happened. It would make sense to give the people in the past, or the people now, because it's our current time, as much detail about these things as possible, so the world would be better prepared in dealing with them when they finally show up 30 years later. To me, that would make, much more sense of doing it than them coming back asking for manpower. It's like, okay, if your manpower didn't work, now what makes you think manpower from the past would work? And then it got to the point where you would just recruit anybody, school teachers, chefs, Uber drivers, people to fight in these wars who didn't have any military experience. Right, to me that didn't make any sense. Another thing that was sort of like a inconsistency with the monsters, because they say, hey, these things are so horrible and indestructible that they're just tearing up the world in the future. And sometimes they show to be that way, then other times is not. Other times, sometimes you're shooting them with a gun that don't have no effect on these things. Other times it do. So it was a inconsistency with that aspect. And also, like, if once you get to the ending part, there's really inconsistencies with that part, how that part came together and stuff. Again, I'm not saying it's not entertaining, but just if you just thinking about these things, because even people in this fictional situation, they should have certain questions about, okay, well, why you decided to do this? Why didn't you do this? You asking me to do what? So it if you look at it from a standpoint, actively watch the movie, it'll be certain questions that come into your head that the movie don't necessarily answer. But again, it don't take away from the fact that this movie is entertaining. It's a very watchable, enjoyable type of movie, especially if you don't really think about it from the standpoint of certain things having to make sense. If you don't think about that, it's really enjoyable. But with that being said, if I was gonna rate this, well, first of all, would I actually, if someone asked me, would I tell them to watch it? I would say yes. I would say, yeah, this is a good movie to watch. Ratings wise, from 1 to 5, I would give the Tomorrow War a solid 3, due to the fact that visually it looks great, special effects are good, the acting's good. I mean, people may complain about the screenplay, but I'm just saying from the standpoint of what the actors had to use, the actors did a really good job. So because the actors did a really good job, as well as the other things I previously mentioned, I would give the Tomorrow War a solid 3. Till we meet again. Peace.